users on home-built computers. 147, 148, 149. Retail distribution of Windows 8 has since been discontinued in favor of Windows 8.1. Unlike 8, 8.1 is available as full version software at both retail and online for download that does not require a previous version of Windows in order to be installed. Pricing for these new copies remain identical. 150, with their tail release returning to full version software for Windows 8.1. The personal use license exemption was removed from the OEM SKU, meaning that end users building their own PCs for personal use must use the full retail variant in order to satisfy the Windows 8.1 licensing requirements. 147. Windows 8.1 with Bing is a special OEM-specific SKU of Windows 8.1 subsidized by Microsoft's Bing search engine. 151. Software compatibility. The three desktop editions of Windows 8 support 32-bit and 64-bit architectures. Retail copies of Windows 8 include install DVDs for both architectures, while the online installer automatically installs the variant corresponding with the architecture of the system's existing Windows installation. 139, 152. The 32-bit variant runs on CPUs compatible with x86 architecture 3rd generation, known as IA32, or newer, and can run 32-bit and 16-bit applications, although 16-bit support must be enabled. First. 153, 154, 16-bit applications are developed for CPUs compatible with x86 2nd generation, first conceived in 1978. Microsoft started moving away from this architecture after Windows 95. 153. The 64-bit variant runs on CPUs compatible with x86 8th generation, known as x86-64, or x64, or newer, and can run 32-bit and 64-bit programs. 32-bit programs and operating system are restricted to supporting only 4 GB of memory, while 64-bit systems can theoretically support 2048 GB of memory. 155. 64-bit operating systems require a different set of device drivers than those of 32-bit operating systems. 155. Windows RT. The only edition of Windows 8 for systems with ARM processors, only supports applications included with the system, such as a special variant of Office 2013, supplied through Windows Update, or Windows Store. Apps. To ensure that the system only runs applications that are optimized for the architecture. Windows RT does not support running IA32 or x64 applications. 156. Windows Store apps can either support both the x86 and ARM architectures, or compiled to support a specific architecture. 157. Support for IE10 on Windows Server 2012. 158, 159, and Windows Embedded 8 Standard, 160, ended on January 31, 2020. Reception. Pre-release. Windows 8 Ultrabooks device showcase in a Microsoft store in Toronto. Following the unveiling of Windows 8, Microsoft faced criticism, particularly from free software supporters, for mandating that devices receiving its optional certification for Windows 8 have Secure Boot enabled by default using a key provided by Microsoft. Concerns were raised that Secure Boot could prevent or hinder the use of alternate operating systems such as Linux. In a post discussing Secure Boot on the Building Windows 8 blog, Microsoft developer Tony Mainfist indicated that vendors would provide means to customize Secure Boot, stating that at the end of the day the customer is in control of their PC. Microsoft's philosophy is to provide customers with the best experience first, and allow them to make decisions themselves. 84. 161. Microsoft's certification guidelines for Windows 8 ultimately revealed that vendors would be required to provide means for users to reconfigure or disable Secure Boot in their device's UEFI firmware. It also revealed that ARM devices, Windows RT, would be required to have Secure Boot permanently enabled, with no way for users to disable it. However, Tom Warren of The Verge noted that the vendors have implemented similar hardware restrictions on their own ARM-based tablet and smartphone products, including those running Microsoft's own Windows Phone platform, but still argued that Microsoft should keep a consistent approach across ARM and x86, though, not least because of the number of users who'd love to run Android alongside Windows 8 on their future tablets. 85. 86. 162. No mandate is made regarding the installation of third-party certificates that would enable running alternative programs. 163. 164. 165. Several notable video game developers criticized Microsoft for making its Windows Store a closed platform subject to its own regulations, as it conflicted with their view of the PC as an open platform. Marcus Notchperson, creator of the indie game Minecraft, 166. Gabe Newell, co-founder of Valve and developer of software distribution platform Steam, 167. And Rob Pardo from Activision Blizzard voiced concern about the closed nature of the Windows Store. 168. However, Tom Warren of The Verge stated that Microsoft's addition of the store was simply responding to the success of both Apple and Google in pursuing the curated application store approach. 169. Critical reception. Reviews of the various editions of Windows 8 were mixed to negative. Tom Warren of The Verge said that half Windows 8's emphasis on touch computing was significant and risked alienating desktop users. He felt that Windows 8 tablets, Mac, and iPad feel immediately out of date due to the capabilities of the operating system's hybrid model and increased focus on cloud services. 169. David Pierce of The Verge described Windows 8 as the first desktop operating system that understands what a computer is supposed to do in 2012 and praised Microsoft's no-compromise approach and the operating system's emphasis on internet connectivity and cloud services. Pierce also considered the Start screen to be a brilliant innovation for desktop computers when compared with folder-littered desktops on every other OS because it allows users to interact with dynamic information. 170. In contrast, an Extreme Tech article said it was Microsoft flailing. 171. And a review in PC Magazine condemned the Metro-style user interface. 172. Some of the included apps in Windows 8 were considered to be basic and lacking in functionality, but the Xbox apps were praised for their promotion of a multi-platform entertainment experience. Other improvements and features, such as file history, storage spaces, and the updated Task Manager, were also regarded as positive changes. 169. Peter Bright of Ars Technica wrote that while its user interface changes may overshadow them, Windows 8's improved performance, updated file manager, new storage functionality, expanded security features, and updated task manager were still positive improvements for the operating system. Bright also said that Windows 8's duality towards tablets and traditional PCs was an extremely ambitious aspect of the platform as well, but criticized Microsoft for emulating Apple's model of a closed distribution platform when implementing the Windows Store. 173. The interface of Windows 8 has been the subject of negative reaction. Bright wrote that its system of hot corners and edge swiping wasn't very obvious due to the lack of instructions provided by the operating system on the functions accessed through the user interface, even by the video tutorial added on the RT release, which only instructed users to point at corners of the screen or swipe from its sides. Despite this stumbling block, Bright said that Windows 8's interface worked well in some places, but began to feel incoherent when switching between the Metro and desktop environments, sometimes through inconsistent means. 173. Tom Warren of The Verge wrote that the new interface was as stunning as it is surprising, contributing to an incredibly personal experience once it is customized by the user, but had a steep learning curve, and was awkward to use with a keyboard and mouse. He noted that while forcing users to use the new touch-oriented interface was a risky move for Microsoft as a whole, it was necessary in order to push development of apps for the Windows Store. 169. Others, such as Adrian Kingsley, who is from ZDNet, considered the interface to be clumsy and impractical due to its inconsistent design, going as far as considering it two operating systems unceremoniously bolted together, and concluded that Windows 8 wasn't born out of a need or demand, it was born out of a desire on Microsoft's part to exert its will on the PC industry and decide to shape it in a direction touch and tablets that allows it to compete against, and remain relevant in the face of Apple's iPad. 174. In 2013, Frank X. Shaw, a Microsoft corporate vice president, said that while many of the negative reviews were extreme, it was a good thing that Microsoft was listening to feedback and improving a product. 175. The American Customer Satisfaction Index, ACSI, reported a decline in Microsoft's customer satisfaction, the lowest it has been since Windows Vista. 176. Market share and sales. Microsoft says that 4 million users upgraded to Windows 8 over the weekend after its release. 177. 178, which CNET says was well below Microsoft's internal projections and was described inside the company as disappointing. 179. On the 27th of November, 2012, Microsoft announced that it had sold 40 million licenses of Windows 8 in the first month, surpassing the pace of Windows 7. 180. However, according to research firm NPD, sales of devices running Windows in the United States had declined 21%. Compared to the same time period in 2011. 181. As the holiday shopping season wrapped up, Windows 8 sales continued to lag, even as Apple reported brisk sales. 182. The market research firm IDC reported an overall drop in PC sales for the quarter, and said the drop may have been partly due to consumer reluctance to embrace the new features of the OS and poor support from OEM for those features. 183. This capped the first year of declining PC sales to the Asia-Pacific region, as consumers bought more mobile devices than Windows PCs. 184. Windows 8 surpassed Windows Vista in market share with a 5.1% usage rate according to numbers posted in July 2013 by Net Applications, with usage on a steady upward trajectory. 185. However, intake of Windows 8 still lagged behind that of Windows Vista and Windows 7 at the same point in their release cycles. Windows 8's tablet market share also grew steadily, with 7.4% of tablets running Windows in Q1 2013 according to Strategy Analytics, up from nothing just a year before. However, this was still well below Android and iOS, which posted 43.4% and 48.2% market share respectively, although both operating systems had been on the market much longer than Windows 8. 186. Strategy Analytics also noted a shortage of top-tier apps for Windows tablets despite Microsoft's strategy of paying developers to create apps for the operating system, in addition to for Windows Phone. 186. In March 2013, Microsoft also amended its certification requirements to allow tablets to use the 1024/768 resolution as a minimum. This change is expected to allow the production of certified Windows 8 tablets in smaller form factors, a market which is currently dominated by Android-based tablets. 135. Despite their action of industry experts, Microsoft reported that they had sold 100 million licenses in the first 6 months. This matched sales of Windows 7 over a similar period. 187. This statistic includes shipments to Carnell warehouses which now need to be sold in order to make way for new shipments. 188. In January 2014, Hewlett-Packard began a promotion for desktops running Windows 7, saying that it was back by popular demand. Outside sources have suggested that this might be because HP or its customers thought the Windows 8 platform would be more appropriate for mobile computing than desktop computing, or that they were looking to attract customers forced to switch from XP who wanted a more familiar interface. 189. 190. In February 2014, Bloomberg reported that Microsoft would be lowering the price of Windows 8 licenses by 70% for devices that retail under US $250, alongside the announcement that an update to the operating system would allow OEMs to produce devices with as little as 1 GB of RAM and 16 GB of storage. Critics felt that these changes would help Windows compete against Linux-based devices in the low-end market, particularly those running Chrome OS. Microsoft had similarly cut the price of Windows XP licenses to compete against the early waves of Linux-based netbooks. 191. 192. Reports also indicated that Microsoft was planning to offer cheaper Windows 8 licenses to OEMs in exchange for setting Internet Explorer's default search engine to Bing. Some media outlets falsely reported that the SKU associated with this plan, Windows 8.1 with Bing, was a variant which would be a free or low-cost variant of Windows 8 for consumers using older versions of Windows. 193. On the 2nd of April 2014, Microsoft ultimately announced that it would be removing license fees entirely for devices with screens smaller than 9 inches. 194, and officially confirmed the rumored Windows 8.1 with Bing OEM SKU on the 23rd of May 2014. 151. On the information gathered by Net Applications, adoption rate in March 2015 for Windows 8.1 was at 10.55%, while the original Windows 8 was at 3.52%. 195. Market share had fallen to 1.06% by October 2020. 196. Chinese government ban. In May 2014, the government of China banned the internal purchase of Windows 8-based products under government contracts requiring energy-efficient devices. The Xinhua news agency claimed that Windows 8 was being banned in protest of Microsoft's support lifecycle policy and the end of support for Windows XP, which, as of January 2014, had a market share of 49% in China, as the government obviously cannot ignore the risks of running an OS without guaranteed technical support. However, Ni Guangnan of the Chinese Academy of Sciences had also previously warned that Windows 8 could allegedly expose users to surveillance by the United States government due to its heavy use of Internet-based services. 197, 198, 199, 200. In June 2014, State Broadcaster China Central Television, CCTV, broadcast a news story further characterizing Windows 8 as a threat to national security. The story featured an interview with Nguyen, who stated that operating systems could aggregate sensitive user information that could burst to